More cancer diagnoses in younger adults, how Central Florida doctors are working to solve a new medical mystery. You're listening to The Wrap from Central Florida Public Media. I'm Brendan Byrne. Research confirms what oncologists are seeing: more patients with early-onset colorectal cancer. What's unclear is why the increase in diagnoses. Doctors are seeing more young patients over the years with colorectal cancer, defying what previous research has taught about the disease.
50 for screening for colorectal cancer we thought was appropriate, but then something happened.
Central Florida Public Media's health reporter Joe Mario Pedersen brings us that story. That's ahead on The Wrap, the big stories this week from Central Florida Public Media. But first, these headlines. Wednesday marked 8 years since the Pulse nightclub shooting. Community members and families gathered this week in downtown Orlando for a remembrance ceremony honoring the 49 people killed. Central Florida Public Media's Marian Summerall reports.
Inside First United Methodist Church, families, friends, and community leaders gathered to read the names of those killed. The church bell rang 49 times, a ring for each of the victims that were killed on June 12th in 2016. Brett Regas was at Pulse the night of the massacre. He lost his partner. He says he hopes the community recognizes the importance of this memorial.
It's healing. Until that memorial is built, this is the only way that we can really get together and connect and be in each other's lives.
The city of Orlando is working with the community to establish a permanent memorial remembering the victims of the shooting. Marian Summerall, Central Florida Public Media.
Governor Ron DeSantis on Wednesday signed a $116.5 billion budget for the upcoming fiscal year after vetoing close to $950 million in spending approved by lawmakers in March. The budget includes a nearly $1.8 billion increase for public schools, with total funding for the kindergarten through 12th grade system topping $28.4 billion. In a memo outlining the vetoes, DeSantis wrote, quote, "Government should strive to do more with less. It can be done, and my action today cements that lesson for the nation," end quote. Included in the governor's cuts was $26 million for cultural and museum grants. 2 Seminole County men are suing the county over a 2015 ordinance that outlaws panhandling in certain public situations. Central Florida Public Media's housing and homelessness reporter Lilian Hernandez Carballo has more.
The nonprofit Southern Legal Counsel is representing the men and focuses on cases of human and civil rights. The group filed a federal lawsuit against a Seminole County ordinance claiming it violates First Amendment rights. The county's ordinance has been in place for more than 9 years, restricting when, where, and how someone can ask for donations. But attorney for the plaintiffs, Dan Marshall, says the biggest problem is that it limits only requests for money, not all forms of soliciting.
So that becomes a problem legally because it's what we call a content-based restriction, because it only deals with one specific type and one specific subject of solicitation.
The lawsuit asks for a preliminary injunction and compensation for damages. A spokeswoman said Seminole County does not comment on pending litigation. Lilian Hernandez Carballo, Central Florida Public Media.
Lilian Hernandez Carballo is a Report for America Corps member. These stories and more on our website. Visit cfpublic.org. Small businesses in Central Florida are doing well in 2024, but not as well as they'd like.
75% of them report that they are having either increased revenues or flat revenues. 68% are reporting that their current performance is either excellent or meeting their expectations. That leaves a whole big number that isn't happy.
The state of small biz. Visit cfpublic.org. Younger people are getting cancer at a more rapid rate. According to the American Medical Association, colorectal is among the most common. As Central Florida Public Media's Joe Mario Pedersen reports, locally, researchers are trying to identify why cancer diagnoses are happening in more young people.
Hello, good afternoon. Do you have an appointment for today?
Yes, with Dr. Garcia.
Okay. Can I get your name?
Erin, E-R-I-N. Last name is Cicino, S-U.
Erin Cicino is 42 years old. Earlier this year, doctors found a tumor in her colon. She was diagnosed with colorectal cancer.
It didn't hit me that I had cancer until the day I got the surgery date. So Up until that point, I was just kind of on robotic mode.
Just a few years earlier, Erin's best friend and cousin, both 38 years old, died after a battle with breast cancer, which has also seen increased diagnoses in young people.
So I just felt like these two women in my life, they passed away before they ever turned 40. There's no way I'm getting through this.
One of Erin's physicians, Dr. Norbert Garcia Enriquez, is an Advent Health colon rectal surgeon. He says he's seeing more patients between ages 20 and 49 with colorectal cancer. That's well outside the newly updated screening recommendations beginning at 45.
50 for screening for colorectal cancer we thought was appropriate, but then something happened.
And that something is a mystery he and other experts are trying to solve.
Not only are we seeing it in younger people, but we're also seeing a more biologically aggressive behaving sort of tumor.
There is some disagreement on whether tumors are more aggressive in young people or if the tumor is being caught later in young people because they're not getting tested until serious symptoms manifest. Either way, more young patients are being identified with colorectal cancers in late and incurable stages. One theory for why this is happening is the abundant availability of processed foods or fast food. One study by the American Medical Association found that excess body weight was associated with an increased risk of early onset colorectal cancer among women regardless of family history. Prior to Cecino's diagnosis, she struggled with obesity and underwent bariatric surgery in 2018. Surgeon Garcia Enriquez says it isn't just a question of obesity. He says there's been a behavioral shift too.
And it's not the fast food restaurant is there itself. People don't want to take the time to cook at home, cook clean, and eat healthy stuff. They want the fast answer. They want the fast satisfaction.
Another possibility is how the products we consume interact with our bodies, like energy drinks. Dr. Thomas George, a clinical investigator at the University of Florida, and other UF researchers are recruiting students to examine how energy drinks may provide a link to early onset colorectal cancer. Students will consume 2 energy drinks a day for 2 weeks while scientists measure their gut biome for changes in bacteria living in the intestines. The theory is that energy drinks fuel the gut bacteria, causing it to grow and possibly damage the digestive system.
For these, what we call bad bacteria, to thrive and create maybe some damage. That's what's partially leading to some of the colorectal cancer numbers that we're seeing in younger patients.
George hopes his experiment will bring scientists one step closer to understanding the age shift.
There's probably not one single answer.
Back at Advent Health, Erin is stopping by Dr. Garcia Enriquez's office for a checkup. Her surgery earlier this year was a success. She's cancer-free, but she'll be monitored for the next 5 years in case it returns.
If you find anything weird, I always tell people, give yourself a week. If it doesn't resolve itself, go see a doctor.
Doctors recommend most people get their first colonoscopy at age 45. People with a family history of cancer can receive a screening 10 years earlier. Joe Mario Pedersen, Central Florida Public Media.
That's it for The Wrap this week. This podcast is produced by Central Florida Public Media with assistance from News Director Latoya Dennis and Digital Director Ryan Ellison. I'm Brendan Byrne. This is The Wrap.